Dennis, welcome to Yachting International Radio's Yachting USA. Good to be back with you today.
Oh, man, that's great. Weren't we just here a couple days ago before the storm?
We were just here. And just a little different background. I think a little different vibe going on a couple days ago, too.
Absolutely. So what do you think post-Milton of the storm, now that it's over and has passed?
I think there's a lot of conversations going to be going on for a while. This storm did not meet certain expectations, and it exceeded other expectations phenomenally. And I'm not necessarily saying that's a good thing. Everything I'm hearing, the storm surge was not nearly as intense and devastating as they projected it could have been.
Yeah.
Of course, if you were in Sarasota on the Barrier Islands, you'd probably disagree. But, you know, there was a lot of worry that that storm surge would roll up Tampa Bay and basically bring a lot of devastation to the Tampa Bay area, which is highly populated. Infrastructure is not really well suited to be submerged. That really didn't happen.
And from what I understand, didn't this hit somewhere that you went to college and grew up?
Yeah, I went to school in Jensen Beach, FIT, when the campus was there, Florida Institute of Technology. There was a sleepy little town when I was there, Stewart, Jensen Beach, just north of Jupiter, south of Fort Pierce in St. Lucie County.
Yeah.
I've got friends of mine still there, and at one point in time, Wednesday night, there was 7 tornadoes that hit within a mile of her house. It was terrifying. And what we've heard is there were many dozens, possibly over 100 tornadoes of significant size that hit around St. Lucie County, Martin County, that not only devastated entire neighborhoods, they took quite a few lives.
Wow.
So we've had fatalities.
Wasn't there also one by your house out here too, and by 75?
You know what, brother? I tell you what, that should have been the wake-up call. I got a notification on my phone at 10:30 in the morning of a tornado alert. I don't remember ever receiving a tornado alert. And it was about 15, 20 minutes later, I started getting these phone calls. Are you okay? Photos were taken. I've got the photograph of this tornado crossing Interstate 75, less than a mile from my house. You can see the exit to my neighborhood on the sign in the foreground with a tornado in the background. We were less than a mile away from an EF2 tornado that fortunately crossed the interstate, went into the sugarcane fields. No damage, you know, you can't hurt the sugarcane.
Thank God.
That was a bullet dodge for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of tornadoes. You had a lot of tornadoes, and from what I understand too, from you and from other people, is that the storm surge for the water wasn't as bad as we predicted, but the wind was off the charts.
The winds were off. Well, listen, we were on the fringes in Fort Lauderdale West, and we were sitting for 6-8 hours in steady 40-mile-an-hour winds with gusts going up to 50 and 60. And we're at the edges of this thing.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were in the heart of this thing. My son lives in Auburndale, which is a community between Lakeland and Orlando. He had 3 trees in his backyard come down.
Wow.
Just barely missed his house. His whole neighborhood, they couldn't leave. They couldn't get back in because trees were blocking. Our friend Ken Clinton, he lives in Odessa, which is just north of the Tampa Bay area.
He had a street block there, I see.
Yeah. He and his son had to clear out a tremendous amount of debris just to leave the house to get to the factory to check on the Intrepid factory.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing that was happening to infrastructure. There's a lot of damage that was done by wind, trees coming down, these tornadoes. That's what they're going to talk about.
Yeah, and you know, this was a particular storm because it had so many tornadoes right now. Even out, you know, by 75, it had one. Most of the storms don't have a whole lot of tornadoes, but this one particularly had a lot. And, you know, Sarasota, if you look at Sarasota, you got all those boats stacked up. They're all damaged.
Yep.
If you look at Port St. Lucie, St. Martin County, where they had a lot of, even parts of Daytona, had a lot of damage over there.
A lot of flooding on the north side of the storm.
Yes. But you know what? I'm really happy too, because a lot of the people in Miami and a lot of the people in Fort Lauderdale, I did notice, and we've been all across the 3 counties lately, but I did notice everybody really paying attention for hurricane preparedness. They were tying up their boats. They made sure their shore power was plugged in, their batteries were charged. They took all the loose items off. Some of them even took off the bimini tops so it didn't blow away. They took all their cushions off, put them downstairs in the master on the bed. So kudos to all the guys protecting the asset and being prepared for the hurricane, because you never know with the models that we get when it's going to make a left, when a right, or just turn on a dime at the last minute and go somewhere else. So it was really interesting. And I think staying ahead of the hurricanes and being prepared, especially in the yachting industry and for residential homes and, you know, shopping centers and commercial properties, just the more people can be prepared, put their plywood up, put their shutters down, the better off it's going to be. But a lot of people, you know, every time they hear, oh yeah, that's what they always say, and they don't really think the hurricane's going to hit until it hits.
Hold my
And then
beer,
it's
I
a
got this
problem.
one. That's the difference between, I think, some seasoned veterans, people that have experienced some of these storms. When sometimes that creates complacency. I've been through this before.
Yeah.
But when you start here and you got a Category 5 in the Gulf of Mexico, that gets your attention. You know, I think that's, if there's an upside to what happened, is that storm did go up to a Category 5. That got everybody taking it really seriously, like they should have.
Yeah.
We had enough time ahead of the storm to do proper preparation that needs to happen to make sure that you are truly ready. And you saw that in the aftermath, that the boats were still tied up. They were tidy. You know, the preparation that was needed to be done was done ahead of the storm. So from that perspective, we showed up, did the right thing.
Yeah.
I hope coming out of this, we don't go back to that complacency, because this storm season is not over yet.
No.
This is only October 11th?
Yeah, October 11th.
Yeah, so we have another 5 weeks of hurricane season in South Florida. And if you remember, like Wilma from a number of years ago, that came out and almost should have shut down the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show.
Correct.
And some of the other storms that have come through late October, they're legitimate big storms, and they can do a lot of damage, and they hit Florida. So, you know, we like to think that we've had our storms for the season. We're good. Let's go. But I think we should be aware that we're not out of the woods yet.
No, and everybody should always stay prepared. You know, we were just finishing one of the last boats about 3 months ago from Ian. When Ian hit Fort Myers and devastated Fort Myers.
A year ago.
We were just like 26 boats over there. We just finished the last boats. And what's really common is usually after a hurricane, people will assess their damage. We talked about them taking a video of the inside of the boat, the outside of the boat, maybe a video of their house, inside and outside, so they'd have some kind of documentation. And it was just really, really interesting. So now that the storm's over, people are able to go out and look at what the damage is, call their insurance company, say, hey, my boat's upside down in Sarasota, it's all crushed, and get a claim number, and then obviously start the process of getting an estimate for repairs, or, you know, getting the boat moved and transported to a repair facility, and then get that lengthy time frame going, because it's going to be a while before those actually get processed.
Well, you know, I talked to insurance underwriters. I had Laura Sherrod from New Coast on my show not too long ago.
Yeah, Laura.
And I reached out to Laura during the storm, basically to check on her. She has actually property up in North Carolina. And then, of course, she's down here. So you know, talk about a double whammy potentially. She came through both of those fine, which is good. But she did share with me some of the losses that they're aware of that happened in Sarasota. There's more to come. And I think, you know, these conversations are helpful when the insurance underwriters have to get out in the aftermath and start figuring out, you know, what's salvageable, what's not, why things went bad. Because there's a takeaway from this. We can learn from the mistakes of others, or we can learn from how structures failed, why they failed, so that maybe, you know, future storms we do something different. Some of the imagery I saw out of Sarasota looks like the dry stack actually collapsed.
Correct.
And so, you know, when you look at that and you understand the standards these structures are supposed to be built to, you want to pay attention to that, figure out if there's a way to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, sort of like the condos at Miami Beach a while back ago. But a lot of these structures that are being built right now, especially to code, are built, you know, to withstand winds up to a certain amount of 100 miles an hour. It could be 80 miles an hour, it could be 160 miles an hour, but they're all being built to code right now. And that's why you see a lot of the rack and stacks of people feeling comfortable when they get their boats and it goes into a hurricane building. But then the hurricane building collapses because they didn't expect those kind of winds coming over there. So it's always sometime like a crapshoot when you're dealing with a hurricane. Let me ask you a pretty interesting question that a lot of people, what's the biggest takeaway with the aftermath, after a hurricane comes away, what's the biggest takeaway boat owners, yacht owners can keep in their head for next time?
Biggest takeaway is to understand what went right versus what doesn't work. These are the questions you want to ask after the fact, so that your storm plan for the future is fine-tuned for your program and for the way you operate your boat and how you want to protect that asset.
Absolutely. And I would always recommend anybody that has a large yacht, a medium-sized yacht, or a small yacht, you can always get your local shipyard and sign up for a hurricane preparedness plan with them, and you're guaranteed to be hauled out or at least brought into the marina and be in a safe haven for the hurricane when it comes. So I definitely recommend contacting a local shipyard, getting a hurricane plan together, making sure you're on the list. So when a hurricane does come, you're one of the boats that comes in and you're guaranteed a spot. You get pulled out and you're not looking where to put the boat at the last second and then have nowhere to put it.
It's like an insurance policy. There's a price to that, as there should be, because they're basically guaranteeing you a spot.
Correct.
And they're doing it at the potential expense of denying somebody else your spot. But if your asset's that important, and if you want to be absolutely certain that you can be as protected as much as possible, and some insurance underwriters in some programs, I knew that's from my yacht management company, required that type of a program built into your named storm plan. So they have what's called a named storm plan. When a named storm happens, you've agreed to follow the following protocols, whether it's move the boat, whether it's to haul the boat, or whether it's to put the boat in a hurricane hole. You're going to have that built into your named storm plan. And oftentimes there's discounts to your insurance, or there's incentive in your insurance if you have made that arrangement with a shipyard to say, hey, I'm going to bring my boat to this particular yard. I'm paying you X dollars a year to do this. And when I get my boat there, you guarantee it's going to be in a space that we agree is the right space for the boat. That's the best plan. Yeah,
and that's a great takeaway, because now they're prepared, But so many times you see a hurricane and people at the last minute, everybody's frantic, they're panicking, they're freaking out, and they're where am I going to pull my boat? Where am I pull my boat? Then a lot of them actually call up all the shipyards. We're busy. We can't take you. We can't take any more boats. We can't take any more boats. And now you're stuck and you don't have anywhere to go. And it's just really, really interesting. But I think overall people did a good job. And you can see we're getting a little rain here, so we're getting a little bit of the aftermath.
Yeah, no, I like this. I'm sitting here going, Dennis isn't pulling out, so there's no way I'm pulling out.
No, I'm not pulling out of this, man.
This is
we're
Florida.
in it. Hey, guys, listen, in case you've never done a podcast with rain, this is what it looks like. But let me tell you, it doesn't stop me and Rick. We're still doing it.
We're here for we're here for you guys. We're here to make sure we get good information out.
Absolutely.
We entertain a little bit at the same time.
Absolutely. And I think it's really good, really good.
Yeah.
So the next portion right now is that everybody contact your insurance company. Make sure you get a claim number. Call somebody like myself from Foster's Yacht Services or many other of the repair industry people. Get an estimate. Submit it to your insurance company and get the process going. Do not wait too long, guys, because the longer you wait, the longer it's going to take.
So through the magic of video, we all of a sudden got ourselves a nice umbrella here. But yeah, we're dealing with a little bit of probably a feeder band that's still coming out of the Atlantic Ocean.
Correct.
We're not that far away from the hurricane still, but it's good information. I think your takeaway from all of this is definitely be prepared. Take the time on the front end to be prepared, and then follow through on your plan.
And during the hurricane season, it's not just hurricanes you got to watch out for, but really bad winds, really bad storms. You should always be prepared, guys, when it comes to hurricane season and winds. Tie up the boat, contact your insurance company, get the process moving, and it'll be less painful for you. So, guys, Dennis Foster, Foster's Yacht Services, Yacht Kings TV, here with Rick Thomas from International Radio and what?
Yachting USA, the podcast.
There you go, guys.
All right, until next time.
See you in the rain.